What's up, everybody? Merry Christmas. Jimmy Faluca reporting with Frank. Frank, how's it going, buddy?
Howdy, folks.
How you doing? It's been a while since we did our last show. Uh, this is going to be the last show of 2015, obviously.
Well, this is the third year doing this, right?
I'm sorry?
I said this is the third year doing this,
It's
right?
we're heading into our third year doing this, Frank, and hopefully, in the spring,
Wow.
in the springtime, hopefully we'll be going podcast, which would be even better. Get even more viewers. A little more efficient.
Are we nearing our 100th episode?
I have to actually look into the archives. I would be lying if I told you I was.
I know, I'm just joking.
Nah, I gotcha. A lot's happened since the last time Frank and I reviewed. I think it was going into Hell in a Cell, right, Frank?
Yeah.
All right. Since the last time we saw each other, obviously, if you've been on the internet more than 2 minutes, you guys know what happened in Hell in a Cell and Survivor Series. I don't have to tell you. You guys know. Um, the recent pay-per-view that took place was TLC. I'm one of the few that's saying it was actually a good show. I enjoyed it. Um, one or two matches notwithstanding, but the key that I felt to TLC that made it good was the ending. Not that Roman Reigns lost; it's what he did after the match, and I think Frank will agree with me on this when I say the Roman Reigns that we saw after the match with Sheamus is the Roman Reigns that we should have been seeing from the onset of his return at last year's TLC. And I think the biggest mistake WWE made with Roman Reigns in 2015, they tried to make him the next Cena rather than trying to make him the first Roman Reigns. And people saw through that. That's why he got the bad reaction in Philadelphia. Not just that, regardless of what anyone wants to say, I really don't care. That Royal Rumble was booked so poorly, it was insulting to everyone's intelligence, and whether anyone wants to admit this or not, if you try to insult your customer's intelligence, you deserve what you get. And that's exactly what happened at the Rumble. They took every babyface that was massively over, Bryan, Ambrose, Ziggler, and Ryback, and made them all get eliminated from that Rumble like banter fodder, just to make Roman Reigns look good. And this also ties into something else I wanted to bring up with Frank, and it's something we could very easily pick apart. It's this idea of the guy. Now, Frank, wouldn't you agree wrestling was always at its hottest when it was more than just about one guy?
Yes, it's about being unpredictable. You know, in the past, maybe you knew one guy was favored or he was going to win or he was getting pushed, but there was always that one, that little that doubt. There was always those two or three guys that could upset it. Whether there could be a swerve or there could be a interference.
See, I'm going to go back to past eras, which is something WWE does all the time. If you don't believe me, look at their main events the last few years. Look at the Attitude Era. And I'm just bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I am not talking about the content of the show. I don't care if they had women showing each other's tits. I don't care if there were buckets of blood. That is not what made these past eras special. What made these past eras special were the wrestlers, the characters, and how strongly each of them were booked. In the Attitude Era, you had Stone Cold, Triple H, The Undertaker, The Rock, Kane, The Big Show, Kurt Angle. Any of those 7 guys could have won the WWF Championship, and it would have been 100% believable. Let's go to the next era, the Ruthless Aggression Era. Arguably the greatest era in terms of pro wrestling. You had Brock Lesnar. You had Kurt Angle. You had Shawn Michaels. You had Chris Jericho. You had Chris Benoit. You had Eddie Guerrero. Along with Attitude Era stars like The Undertaker, like Triple H. And you also had guys coming up in the ranks that were getting just as over, like Batista, like John Cena, That's 10 different guys that could win the World Heavyweight or Undisputed Championship, and it would have been 100% believable. Today in the WWE, can any of you name half a dozen guys that could win the heavyweight championship that are from this generation and have it be believable? Of course you can't. You know why you can't? Because the WWE has spent so much time relying on the past names. Like, okay, this era that we're in, the two guys that are going to be known as the top guys of that era are John Cena and Randy Orton. Now, my response to that is, what does that say about how bad the era is when those two are your top guys? And to this day, those two are given the best booking. Right behind them is Brock Lesnar and now Roman Reigns. Which Frank and I don't have a problem with Roman Reigns, but to put a lid on this topic, it shouldn't just be all about him. Because that's how people are going to turn on him. I'm a fan of the guy. I'm happy he's currently the WWE champion. I'm happy that the crowd is finally starting to get on his side. But even though I'm a fan of his, I'm not going to turn around and make excuses for them only booking him right. He's not the only guy that should be getting good booking. I'm sorry. This whole idea of the guy, one guy getting the good booking and everyone else, fuck you, no, that's not how it works. Because then you get results like you got with John Cena. And you guys can say whatever you want about him, he's not a top guy. And the reason I could say he's not a top guy is, let's see, since he's been on top, the ratings have declined, pay-per-views went down, fans were driven away, their overall viewership and bottom line has sunk. That's why they have to make all of these pathetic money grabs, because he's not as big a star as Austin. He's not an all-time great. He's not The Rock. He's not even in The Undertaker's class. He's not even in Triple H's class, who at the end of the day, does Triple H ever really get mentioned in with those major names, Flair, Foley, Taker, Rock, Austin, other than in WWE? No, he never does. He's not an all-time great, and that's why for the last 10 years you've seen this in terms of the overall bottom line and overall viewership of the WWE go down. And that is something they have to stop getting into this new era with Roman Reigns as the top guy. There's nothing wrong with having a top guy. However, let's see. You got Roman Reigns, who is starting to finally now get good booking. Frank, before we move on, what do you have to say about that? That it took them all the way up until December of 2015 to figure out how to book Roman Reigns the right way?
Well, I don't think they figured it out. I think they were forced because of the low ratings. And everybody got happy last week because Raw was good, and that's how it should be.
Well, I don't know, because I haven't watched Raw in 20 weeks, so I don't fucking know.
Well, it was he challenged Sheamus, and then Vince came out, and if he didn't win, he'd be fired, and Vince kicked him in the nuts, and at the end,
I saw the YouTube video where he actually punched Vince in the face, and you want to know, right there, Vince McMahon, as the character Mr. McMahon, did something that Stephanie McMahon has not done in 2.5 years. Fuck with somebody and get her comeuppance. You know, apparently she smacked him so hard his face was swelling up.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, Stephanie
It's still, he's a name from the past.
Stephanie McMahon doing what she does best, emasculating all the top guys, and not any retribution is gotten. And that's something that, you know, annoys me about her character. But as I was saying before I asked you, Roman Reigns is not the only guy that should get good booking. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, I've said it in the past. Everybody is flooded and ruined on the roster. They keep booking everybody on par with each other. Anybody can lose to anybody. They have 3-minute matches with top superstars that face each other in 3-minute matches, and one guy loses 4 weeks in a row, and the next week he loses, the other guy loses. And how are these guys credible? You can't invest in these guys because they're not push strong. Outside of Cena,
I believe.
Outside of Brock Lesnar, there is nobody you can really say.
Yeah, so like you just said, aside from the Breakfast Club guys like John Cena, Randy Orton, and Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar, and now you're adding Roman Reigns to the mix. You really can't name anybody else that if they won the WWE title, it would be 100% believable. And
What
Roman...
happened with Seth Rollins?
Seth...
Have you ever seen a champion lose every week? The only time he would win was on pay-per-view. He'd win by the skin of
No,
his
but
teeth.
according to certain people, that's good enough.
How? Having your champion lose to John Cena 5 times in a row on TV?
Triple H only lost clean when he lost the title back in the day. Ric Flair only lost clean when he lost the title back in the day. You know, I don't understand what's so friggin' difficult because they can't have anyone other than their hand-chosen guys look good. And I'm going to go through the list right now. It's 2015. You want to know the guys in this company that should be getting really good fucking booking so that way they can look like they're on par with each other? It's very simple. Roman Reigns is one of them. He's got all the tools in the world, got all the potential in the world. Comes from a friggin' great family. Dean Ambrose is another guy. Dean Ambrose should not be playing second fiddle to him. I'm sorry. Even though I don't like Dean Ambrose and I like Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose should not be playing, the sidekick to Roman Reigns. Because as an overall character, Dean Ambrose is better. There, I said it. He is. Seth Rollins.
The rest down the road, Dean turns on Roman.
And it should be the opposite. Because Dean Ambrose has no reason to turn on Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins, another guy, should be booked like a top guy. He ain't been booked like a top guy. He's been booked like a complete and utter bitch. And I'm sorry.
They made him win the WWE belt and the U.S. title. But then what did they do? He loses the U.S. title and he loses 5 times in a row to John Cena. So
It was 5 times in a row, Frank?
4 or 5.
I've never seen a WWE champion get beat by the same guy clean multiple times, and no one.
And submission.
I know they made Rollins tap out to him when he broke Cena's nose.
He tapped that twice and he got pinned twice.
Jesus Christ! And you know what's funny? The apologists will say that it's okay because they just because.
What does that tell you? Then you go back and look and say, oh well, he beat John Cena for the U.S. belt. That was just luck. That was just the.
That was called. It took Jon Stewart to do it. Yeah, Seth Rollins, Seth Rollins, and I was in the building for that, and everyone was chanting, "Thank you, Stewart." And I don't care who comments, who says anything. When your number one hero is roundly getting booed, you've got a problem. That's not good. He's been on top for.
That whole move was supposed to be to get massive heat on Seth Rollins. And what happened? The fans are happy.
They were happy. I mean, do you think people were cheering when Bruce Dern shot John Wayne in the back? Fuck no, they weren't. And I'm sorry to all of the John Cena supporters. I'm going to drop a bomb on yous. He's been on top for 10 years and he still hasn't been able to get the right reaction. And to all of you that turn and say, it doesn't matter if they boo him or cheer him, he gets a reaction. That's all that matters. No, you're supposed to get a reaction. A good reaction. A good reaction. That's like me going to a movie and like, for example, that's like me going to a movie. Okay, I'm going to see Batman. I'm going to see the new Batman movie that's coming out, and he's going against the Riddler. That's like me going to the fucking Batman movie and cheering for the fucking Riddler. Does that make Batman a good hero? No, it fucking doesn't. For Christ's sakes, what is so hard? Has it gotten so bad that you're willing to apologize for it just so you could provide a justification for watching? Come on.
They can keep apologizing all they want. And then the ratings go down, and people make excuses for that.
No, of course they make excuses for it. Let's get into that, Frank. Let's get into that. 2.1 fucking ratings with the talent that they have on their roster.
They actually did it 20.
They're breaking fucking new generation low levels. That's what they're breaking. They're breaking those kind of records. These are not the good records to be breaking. You could blame.
Is the lowest in the modern era. That means like going back to 1996.
You could blame football. You could blame whatever you want. But last I checked, was the NFL around in 1998?
No, I think they just started a few years ago.
Yeah, I don't think they were around, so the ratings are probably bad because of that. No. Your ratings are bad consistently because you suck at storytelling, you suck at building new stars, and you suck at the most important thing, listening to your audience. And you idiots that try and defend this ridiculousness, and for months we've had people comment on our videos, and I will not say who you are, because you'll get offended, but you know who you are. I've had people come on here and say, you don't like it, don't watch. Guess what? People have stopped watching, and it shows in their viewership. Dumb fucks. You don't encourage your customers to stop watching if they don't like it. It is your job to improve your product so they will continue to watch. Think about this, Frank. People have gone from watching religiously to recording it to not even bothering to do any of the above.
Right.
But I suppose it's the fans' fault. Like, I've had people say, oh, it's the internet and the internet fans that ruin wrestling. Okay, first of all, the internet was around in 1999 and 2000, 2001, the highest fucking years in the history of wrestling, and they were doing just fine. That's number one. Number two, if people like me and Frank are what killed professional wrestling, how healthy was professional wrestling to begin with?
Well, according to statistics, they say that the internet fans, that they represent the small minority of the overall.
Really? We do? Interesting.
They say the casual, with how they term it, the casual viewer makes up most of the audience.
Really?
That's what they say. They say the casual viewer is the majority of the audience. And the internet fans, like me and you, are the minority.
We're the minority. No. I hate to break it to you, people. I'm going to break it down for you. This is how it works. Your core audience is your hardcore fan base. Your loyal fan base. That is your core. If you betray your core, you're going to be left with nothing. They've chased away a lot of us. A lot of us. Frank will tell you. You guys know. I used to watch Raw every single week. I'm on week number 20. That I have not wasted my time. Because guess what? I'm going to lay it out for you. Since this guy, Kevin fucking Owens, got tapped out by John Cena, I couldn't take it anymore. I simply could not take it. I will watch the pay-per-views with my friends, and that's it. I can't sit and every Monday night waste my fucking time being disappointed over and over and over again. I mean, for Christ's sakes, Bray Wyatt. What the fuck are they doing with Bray Wyatt? Can somebody fucking explain to me what they have done with this man? Bray Wyatt, and apparently, because I didn't fucking watch it, Shawn Michaels said Bray Wyatt is the Undertaker of this era on Stone Cold's podcast.
He could be.
Let me make sure you guys understand something, and I'm gonna put this up to the camera. I'm showing the tattoo, Frank. See that? That is the Grim Reaper with the Undertaker insignia. That is how fucking loyal I am to the Undertaker. And when I showed the man that tattoo, he had the biggest fucking smile on his face. He shook my hand. He said, that's the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. And that's coming from Mark Calloway. Your opinion is invalid compared to his. If the Undertaker was booked as horribly as Bray Wyatt has been booked, he would have been a flop. As much as I love The Undertaker, I worship the fucking ground that he walks on. If he was booked the way Bray Wyatt has been booked since WrestleMania 30, The Undertaker would be a forgotten fucking face. And you guys actually expect Bray Wyatt to produce massive numbers as a character, massive attention as a character. With the way he's been booked, are you on fucking drugs?
What's part of The Undertaker's mystique is that he's invincible.
Thank you! And whenever he did lose, it was because of something serious fucking going on. Like, I don't know, 10 guys jumping in the ring to stick him in the casket to help Yokozuna out. Or, I don't know, his younger brother Kane, after 20 years of being in exile, ripping the fucking cell door off and dumping him on his head. I mean, Jesus Christ. Bray Wyatt loses to John Cena, a guy who did not benefit from that win. He loses to The Undertaker, a guy who did not benefit from that win. He loses to The Undertaker again, and nobody fucking benefits.
Well, they did make him go over on Roman Reigns, right?
They made Bray Wyatt go over on Roman Reigns at Battleground thanks to Luke Harper. And then Bray Wyatt ended up losing at SummerSlam and Hell in a Cell. So, Bray Wyatt essentially, and I'm saying this now, if he continues on the road he's on in a year, he'll be future endeavored. And that's a fucking shame. It's a fucking shame. This guy's got a fucking legacy. His father was Mike Rotundo. His father was fucking Blackjack Mulligan. The business is in his fucking blood. He's a great talker. He's a damn good worker for a guy his size. And anyone that wants to fucking turn around and talk about, oh, he doesn't have the look like Kevin Owens. Excuse me. Bam Bam Bigelow, Mick Foley, Dusty Rhodes, Yokozuna, all fucking legends. You don't need to be fucking ripped to be a legend. Mick Foley was never ripped, but I tell you what, that motherfucker put asses in seats. Bam Bam Bigelow was never ripped, was one of the best athletes that a man his size could ever be. Dusty Rhodes, need I say more? How many asses did Dusty Rhodes put in the seats, Frank?
A lot.
A lot. Okay, that's Bray Wyatt. Let's get to fucking Kevin Owens. You know, for fucking months, people told me that when John Cena had the U.S. title, whoever beat him for it was going to be an even bigger star. Really? You think Alberto Del Rio's making a lot of big fucking waves? I called it. Larry fucking called it, saying whoever beats Cena for the U.S. title is going to be somebody the crowd doesn't give two fucks about, so that way no momentum can be built off of it, so it'll stay with John Anthony Felix fucking Cena. And sure enough, that's exactly what fucking happened. That's exactly what fucking happened. Del Rio, nobody gives a flying shit about...
You can put some money on it that the Cena's first match back, he'll beat Del Rio.
I don't even give a fuck. What's going on with Del Rio proves exactly what I was saying from the start. It was never about building up the mid-card titles. It was about making John Cena look good. Because since he lost that belt to Del Rio, has Del Rio had any memorable matches on Raw? We know he's a good worker. I just find him boring as fucking shit.
No, and that gimmick they had with him and Zeb Colter, the Mexican...
That had absolutely no legs to stand on. Had absolutely...
They strapped it after 3 weeks.
That's one. Two, let's see. The Kevin Owens was the Intercontinental Champion for a while. Was he having any amazing matches on Raw? And we know he's more than capable of. Was he, Frank?
No, he was getting soda thrown in his face.
Okay, so you guys are going to fucking sit here and defend that shit. The Cena having the U.S. title and doing those matches. You notice nobody else was given the fucking structure that Cena was given to his matches. Now, how fucking dumb do you guys look now? How fucking dumb do you look now? Trying to defend...
I actually think that it's Cena having the great matches.
Yeah, they were only letting Cena have the multiple fucking kickouts of the fucking finishes. They were only giving him 15 to 20 minutes for his matches. Why wasn't Kevin Owens given 20 minutes to defend his Intercontinental title on fucking Raw? I'll tell you why. Because he wasn't the fucking golden boy. And it's a load of bullshit when I gotta hear people fucking defending this ridiculousness, even when it's clear as crystal. They have no legs to stand on. Let's see. Another guy. Dean fucking Ambrose. Last year around this time was outselling Cena in merchandise. With the fucking hoodie. Has he been doing anything special lately? He just won the Intercontinental title. Has he been defending that title? Religiously, Frank?
I don't think so.
Of course not. I keep trying to explain to you fucking guys, and you never... ever want to fucking listen.
Well, it goes back to what we started off to talk about. When they just build only around 1 or 2 guys, or 3, and everybody else is forgotten about. And
Adrian Neville.
Everybody's purposely is held down, and when I say held down, they're not given the opportunity to shine.
Let's get to Adrian Neville, Frank.
People were given the opportunity to shine.
You know what's funny? I look back on that Vince podcast with Steve Austin, where he turns around and he says, in pretty much the same, within a 5-minute stretch, said the same 2 things. The guys are not ambitious. They're afraid to fail. They're afraid to take chances. And in the next fucking breath, when Steve Austin said all the guys walk around on eggshells, they're afraid to take chances and piss somebody off. Well, don't piss anybody off.
But how is somebody supposed to take chances and and grab the ring when they were allowed 3 minutes on TV.
You know what's funny? Vince actually had the balls to say that Cena was the last one to try to grab the brass ring. Let's see, Randy Orton, Batista, Edge, CM Punk really didn't want that brass ring. He just didn't reach hard enough. I guess Daniel Bryan didn't want the fucking ring either. The fans just handed it to him.
Right.
It's just ridiculous. Adrian Neville's another guy. I just finished watching the original NXT special. He was closing out that fucking show with Bo Dallas in a great fucking ladder match. What's Adrian Neville doing now? He's part of a comedy act with the fucking Miz, a guy who had no business main eventing WrestleMania, a guy that has no business even being in the wrestling business.
Well, I think the Miz's future is as a manager.
Please, the Miz should have no future in wrestling. He absolutely sucks. And now, before Frank and I get to our second segment, I want to get into something else that's been really fucking bothering me. Daniel Bryan. 4 fucking doctors have cleared this guy, Frank. Why is he not back in the ring?
Oh, I really don't know, but it's the same story. It comes down to WWE's liability. If he gets hurt again, they're going to be liable.
Really? So Randy Orton and his 10 separated shoulders, Tommy Dreamer and his 30 concussions, John...
it's all about that trial that's coming up.
Get the fuck out of here.
I say this, if they don't plan on using him, just release him. But
Exactly! I've been saying the same thing. If you're not gonna fucking let the guy wrestle, let him fucking leave.
Well, let him announce. Let him do something. Let him manage. Let him do something.
I find it hysterical, 150% hysterical, that a guy could be cleared by 3 or 4 doctors and still not be allowed to do anything.
Or do you look at it from the conspiracy point of view, that they don't want him back because he might ruin Roman Reigns' push?
Is that really so far-fetched?
I don't know. It is, but with these guys, you'd have to think it's not, because look at what happened in 2015 when Bryan came back to the Royal Rumble.
But that right there proves the conspiracy point of view, though. What you just said is evidence towards the conspiracy point of view, which honestly, I don't even think it's a fucking conspiracy. I think it's fact. And I like Roman Reigns. I like the guy.
Just think about it. The last 6 months have been all about getting Roman Reigns to this point. And
you're not going to sell Roman Reigns is not going to sell 110,000 tickets.
If it was
he by himself can't do it. No one man by himself can do it. Nobody. Not nobody. Not Brock Lesnar. Not The Undertaker. Not Daniel Bryan. No one man can sell 110,000 tickets to WrestleMania 32.
I was going to say is if I had all my chips cashed in on Roman Reigns to push him, I wouldn't want Daniel Bryan to come back, because every time he comes out, he'll get a lot pop and he'll get momentum, and it'll take away from Roman Reigns. So,
but what does that now? If that's true, what does that say about what the WWE thinks of Roman Reigns as a superstar? What does that say about what they think of him?
That he's not established yet.
No, but they have no problem with Brock.
I'm sure that's their theory. That's their point of view, is that he's not established yet, and that they want to cement him into that.
Well, you want to know what I say in response?
The theory is that he's not fully over.
It goes back to that what Scott Hall and Kevin Nash said about Vince. Vince has said, I'd rather have half a house cheering the guy I want than a full house cheering the guy I don't want.
Okay, well, you could do that.
It's a shitty business move to make, I'll tell you that.
Well, you have half a house sold, then we'll see how he keeps
And what I also find hysterical is that there are people that are actually defending that. I've actually had someone. I actually took a picture of the guy's message just to prove how stupid some people are. I'll try to put it in the comments section of the video. He actually said they shouldn't bring Daniel Bryan back. All the work they put into Roman Reigns, fuck him and his fans. I'm actually and this asshole I was speaking to on YouTube. I mean, openly saying they shouldn't bring him back because he would hurt Roman Reigns' momentum. And my response to him was, well, then what does that say about the superstardom of Roman Reigns? Because I got news for you. When Stone Cold went down with that neck injury, The Rock took over, and Rock was doing fucking great. When Stone Cold came back, did The Rock lose any of his steam?
No.
Of course not.
They went to headline 3 record WrestleManias. They're the only 2 guys to headline 3 WrestleManias.
And The Rock and Austin are looked upon as equals.
Yeah.
And how I'm going to put a lid on this is this. Because I'm sure someone will turn around and say, you want to see Daniel Bryan get hurt, this, that, good thing. If Daniel Bryan wrestling would be detrimental to his health to the point where he would easily be hurt, I want the man to retire. But if I'm actually going to call him by his name, if Bryan Danielson is telling the truth, which, everyone's got a reputation. Daniel Bryan doesn't have a reputation of being a bullshit artist. If he's telling the truth about all these doctors clearing him, including the St. Louis Cardinals doctor that works... Oh, God. This drives me nuts that one of the top neurologists in the United States turns around and says, not only is Daniel Bryan's brain fine, it's above average compared to those in contact sports. If he's getting those kind of results, WWE has no legs to stand on. You got Cesaro out. You have Seth Rollins out. Sting is out. Randy Orton is out. Now Wade Barrett, Stardust, they're all out. All of them. If the fucking guy is fine, you bring him back. Keeping him out because he may get hurt and you want to look good in court doesn't help your case. Because
anybody could get hurt.
Thank you! Anyone could get fucking hurt. But their rationale is they're going to try to spin it the politically correct way, saying, he could possibly get another concussion. He has a history of them, so we're going to keep him out so we can look good in court. If I'm their opposition in court, I'm bringing in that guy from St. Louis. I'm bringing in all these doctors that have cleared him and said, look, he's fucking fine.
Yeah, but then I read somewhere that they were trying to overturn that doctor, because it's like, why is he working there? He's their doctor, so it would look bad to overturn that doctor. In court, it would look bad.
But if the doctor's saying that he's fine is more qualified, it ends there.
I don't know.
And I'm sorry. And I'm sorry for anyone that gets offended. And I'm sorry.
I say stop keeping everybody in suspense. Either you bring it back or you don't.
I agree. Let's fucking put an end to it. Honestly. I would much rather see this fucking guy get out of the WWE, go to fucking Japan, go to Ring of Honor. I don't even want him to come back to the WWE at this point because I know they won't.
They don't want to release him because he's still popular.
Yeah, but they want to keep him in the WWE, but they don't fucking want him to wrestle because he'll outshine whoever they choose, which is dumb. My friend Rich said this to me at work. If it was 1998 and they had WCW breathing down their necks and they had to go with whoever was popular, they'd fucking run with him.
Right, because he would definitely go and sign with them the next week.
And I'm not saying this because I want to see the guy go back and get hurt. If the guy's physically able to perform, I want him to perform. I'm tired of sitting on the sidelines waiting for this guy to fucking return when I know he's fucking okay because that's exactly what he said, and he's not a bullshit artist.
Well, let me ask you this important question.
Go ahead.
If he does come back and they do okay, what are your expectations of his booking?
He should, at the very least, be in a high-profile match. I don't expect him to come back and get a title shot. I don't expect that. It'd be nice.
He should be booked in the upper mid-card.
I think he should be in a match with a big name. Absolutely. He should not be in...
How great would a match with him versus Dean Ambrose for the IC belt?
Not at all. Dean Ambrose is not a big name. I'm talking Daniel Bryan deserves his level of popularity. He belongs to be in the ring with a fucking name that's bigger than him.
How about Kevin Owens?
No. Kevin Owens is not bigger than Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan's popularity I'm talking Brock Lesnar. I'm talking The Rock. I'm talking Triple H. I'm talking the big ones. That's where he...
That's your expectation.
My expectations is that if this guy comes back and he's still as over as he was when he left, you put him in there with a big name and he fucking wins. You don't put him...
I don't think they would do that. If he does come back, I think he's going to be upper mid-card.
He doesn't belong there, though.
I'm telling you, that's
No, I know that's what they would end up doing with him. I would expect him to be in a big-time match. He doesn't belong in a small-time match because he's not a small-time guy.
Their rationale will be they can't trust him to run with the
No, but you could trust Randy Orton, who's been injured every other year, and yet he's a 14-time heavyweight champ, 13-time heavyweight champion.
Listen, James, the truth is they don't see him as a top guy. They don't see him as money, and his moments. I told you the Daniel Bryan era ended WrestleMania 30 when he won.
I disagree with you. The Daniel Bryan era ends when the fans stop caring about him.
No, I know. But listen, he could come back 20 years from now, and people will chant for him. I'm talking about his performance era, his peak. He peaked at WrestleMania 30. He's never gonna. I don't think he's ever gonna come even close to winning the belt again.
No, he never will, because they'll make sure if he ever comes back, he'll never get it again, no matter how much the fans want it.
They'll keep him in mid-card.
So to put a lid on this, I hope Daniel Bryan ends up leaving the WWE and goes to another wrestling organization that will actually treat him with the respect he deserves. Because I don't believe the WWE will do that. They have already proven they don't want him. They don't want him at all.
He should go to Japan. Let him go to Japan.
Absolutely. He should go to Japan. Have a fucking classic with AJ Styles. Have a classic with Shinsuke Nakamura. Guarantee you he would tear the house. He could tear the house down with anybody. This guy has reached the level of where somebody along the lines of a legend like Kurt Angle wants his last match to be with Daniel Bryan on a stage like WrestleMania. What does that say about what the wrestlers in the business?
Because Kurt Angle knows Daniel Bryan is money, and he's a damn great worker.
Yeah, but apparently that's not good enough to be treated with respect.
He doesn't have the look. In their eyes, he doesn't have the look.
And fuck the look and fuck them. Now we're going to get into segment 2.